Solidworks offers a myriad of patterning tools at both the part and assembly level. It can often be a pain to distinguish between the different tools, let alone understand their functions. Having used some of the patterning tools in Solidworks, I can attest to the power of these features. However, when it comes to the naming of the features and their icon designs, I think most users will agree that there is a lot of room for Solidworks to improve upon. The names and icons are often very similar to each other. Because of this, users tend to shy away from using them. In this video, I have identified 5 features that I think are the most prone to causing confusion among users. I will explain the unique use of each of these 5 features, and by the end of this video, you should have at least a basic understanding of when to use them. Let's take a look at what are these 5 patterning tools. 2 of them are patterning tools used for patterning features at the part level: the curve-driven pattern and the sketch-driven pattern. 3 of them are patterning tools used for patterning components at the assembly level: the curve-driven component pattern, the sketch-driven component pattern, and lastly, the pattern-driven component pattern. Let's jump straight into the curve-driven pattern. The curve-driven pattern allows you to create patterns along a planar or 3D curve. The curve can be taken from a sketch or the edge of a face. Here I have a sketch created using splines on the front plane. I have created a cylinder as a seed feature. When I start the curve-driven pattern and choose to pattern bodies, you will see the cylinders being propagated along this curve. Essentially, the sketch acts as a pathway along which copies of the seed feature are created. Going to another example, I have a cylinder here cut with a surface to reveal this organic 3D surface. I am going to pre-select this edge, go to the curve-driven pattern, and pattern this seed feature in the form of a cylinder. So this is to demonstrate that the curve-driven pattern can be performed on non-planar curves as well. Moving on to the sketch-driven pattern. The name of this feature gives the impression that it is similar to the curve-driven pattern, but it is a misnomer. It is more accurately described as a points-driven pattern. On this plate, I have created a sketch on this surface that is composed of randomly placed sketch points. I have also created a seed feature in the form of a hole wizard hole. Upon starting a sketch-driven pattern, when I pick on a sketch and the seed hole, looking at the preview, you can see that the hole is replicated at each of the sketch points. So as opposed to the curve-driven pattern where the features are copied along a path with an indicated spacing, the features in the sketch-driven pattern are dictated by sketch points. For the curve-driven component pattern and sketch-driven component pattern, I will not go into detail in each of these features. Essentially, they perform the same role as their counterparts at the part level. Instead of features, they are used to drive components. Lastly, we have the pattern-driven component pattern. This feature uses an existing pattern to pattern components. This existing pattern can be at a component level or at the assembly level. When the underlying pattern is modified, the pattern-driven component pattern changes accordingly. To demonstrate a pattern-driven component pattern, I will be using this plate with a bunch of countersunk holes created by a sketch-driven pattern. Next, we will create an assembly using this plate and insert a countersunk screw. This will serve as a seed component. Let's start the pattern-driven component pattern. Under Components to Pattern, select the screw, and under Driving Feature, we will go to the assembly tree and select the sketch-driven pattern created in the plate. In the future, I do plan to create videos that will go into further detail on how to use each of these patterning tools. The main aim of this video is to help users to decide when to use each of these tools and at least remove some of the fear and confusion in using them. Alright, if you hope to see more of these videos, do click on the subscribe button and I will see you soon.